Our movie starts with us seeing a young lady called Sira. She's the one carrying the name of this movie, Sira. Here she is, carrying a really heavy box while also holding a firearm. We see her lowering the box down along with her weapon, then she picks up a pair of binoculars. Through the binoculars, we find out she's been scouting a gang of some people. Now, we don't know if this gang are criminals or just some elders going to eat rice. Me and you don't know yet, but we'll find out later. After the elders leave, we see Sira observing very carefully. Now, what could she be carrying in that box? Let's see. Oh my God! It's a baby! After that, she places the box with the baby down, then goes back to where she started and begins checking her weapon, which is some kind of AK-47, or you can call it an Avtomat Kalashnikova. Anyway, let's leave that aside. We still don't know why a beautiful girl like her is carrying a firearm like this. How did it come to this point? Why has she put the baby on target? This is one of the best movie. The director of this movie is Traore, not President Ibrahim. It's Apolline Traore. And inside here, you'll learn a lot of things. But before we continue, I'd like to humbly ask you to subscribe and click the bell icon so you become part of the Mentalix Recaps family. Subscribed already? Okay, let's continue. Right at the start of the movie, we see a group of people trekking through the Sahel Desert. And here we see Sira riding a camel along with others, continuing their journey. After walking a long distance, we see a man called Mustafa asking their leader, who they call Chief, but his actual name is Tidiane. Chief, boss, aren't we taking a break? The chief replies, we're almost there. Stop being lazy, my boy. Okay, but I see the kids are really tired, and even the camels need to rest. The chief replies, Bismillah, let's rest here. Mustafa replies, all right, boss. Honestly, I don't even know how far they've come, but this man seems super lazy. Here we see women setting things up while the children play and enjoy the desert dust. It's time for prayer now. We see their leader calling the adhan and the people getting ready to pray. Mustafa performs wudu and goes to lead the prayer. At night, we see Sira wanting to slaughter a goat, but this young man tells her, you're a girl, you're not allowed to slaughter, boss. But Sira decides to go ahead and slaughter anyway. Suddenly, Mustafa interrupts her. Hey Sira, what are you doing here? Go help your mother cook. Cover your head and those legs. It seems Mustafa is very religious. Now we see Sira and her friends having fun singing and dancing, while her mother and Sira are cutting the meat. Later that night, we see the chief deep in thought. Mustafa follows him and the chief starts talking. I see a big problem coming. What problem, boss? It's about this marriage. Mustafa says, I wanted to ask you, boss, have you really agreed that Sira's marriage should happen? Let me explain clearly so you can understand. This journey was for Sira to get married to a young man she has known since childhood. And the guy she's going to marry is Christian, but Sira is Muslim. They come from completely different tribes that have had zero understanding between them. Now let's follow their conversation. After Mustafa asks the chief about Sira's marriage, the chief tells Mustafa not to ask silly questions. Mustafa asks, boss, do you know we're breaking the rules? What rules? They love each other. There's no other way. Mustafa says, it's not right at all, boss. If they had the same religion, it would have been a solid foundation for their home. When they have children, what religion will they follow? Christian or Muslim? The chief replies that the kids will choose for themselves. Then the old man starts praising Sira's future husband. I've witnessed the growth of this young man. Since he was a child, he has been very good, and I trust my daughter. She cannot choose a bad man. So the chief decides to leave it at that. Now we see Sira with her mother and other women celebrating while they pamper her. This other woman tells Sira, listen girl, if you want to control your husband, make sure he's satisfied well at the table and in bed. Let me give you the code. After you take a shower at night, make sure you apply parachute oil all over your body. Make your body slide like a snake until your husband, when he looks at you, sees himself like a mirror. Then they all start laughing there. Sira's mother asks that woman, did you really do that in your marriage? Because you've been left more than twice. Yes, but remember, even the president was taught by a teacher. Listen, I'll tell you, if you fail to satisfy your husband, the remedies from this desert will help you, believe me. Next morning, we see them preparing to continue their journey, but suddenly they see vehicles arriving at the payment point. And not just vehicles, but a unit carrying firearms. They were shocked and asking themselves, what the heck is this now? Let's continue watching carefully. We'll soon understand the connection between Mustafa here and this armed unit that has arrived. Mustafa follows them and greets, Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam. Mustafa asks, how can we help? Then this man answers, we are looking for 2 young men. And those young men heard our chief. Mustafa replied to them, saying, we know nothing about that matter, and I don't think these guys are from here. We've been traveling for weeks, leaving our village behind, and no one stayed back where we came from. Then the man asked, why are you carrying weapons now? Mustafa told him, our village was attacked, so we decided to move our families somewhere safe. Who's your chief? Mustafa said, wait, I'll go call him. So Mustafa went to call their chief, whose name is Tidiane. He told the chief, there are strangers here asking questions. And the chief had to approach them, while the women were genuinely worried. Before the chief even got close, weapons started swinging. Mustafa had already run away. The women started screaming, because no one could believe what was happening. People were being shot mercilessly. Sira's mother fainted from the pressure, and shockingly, these men were only attacking the men. And if the weapon didn't work well, they'd add another one. People died. Now this chief who was shot is actually Sira's father. Here, Sira is seen crying over her father. Dad, wake up! The poor man tried to fight back against the elders, but failed. Meanwhile, we see Mustafa on a hill, and suddenly he gets hit and falls down. But the way this man is watching Mustafa, it's not for nothing. There must be something going on. Then the young lady started cursing the elders. Curse you and your children, and God will punish you! This man turns and follows her, staring hard. Then he throws a punch. After that, he orders that the young lady be taken away. Poor Sira screams, calling, Mom! This journey was supposed to be for her to marry a Christian guy she really loved, but now everything is ruined. This is where our movie really seems to start, because later on, it's going to be pure fire, bro. Her mother wakes up and sees her daughter being taken away by the rebels, and in her grief, she runs to check if they're really taking her away. Her mother calls, Sira! And then collapses to the ground. The men split up. Some went to the right, others to the left. Here we see them reaching a certain spot, and then this man starts untying Sira. Now we don't know where he's taking her or what he wants to do to her. This man takes her down and starts hitting her hard. You wouldn't believe it. And by the end of the day, he rapes her. Damn. Here, they continue piling abuse and anger onto her. Let's see what the end of all this will be. After finishing his act, he tells her, you don't deserve to die by my weapon, then spits on her. After that, we see Sira wake up and start looking for somewhere to go. Remember, this is the desert. No water, no food. How will she survive now? Let's see what happens. Since Sira had walked so much, her feet started getting sores from the desert rocks. She decided to tear her dress and tie it around her feet like makeshift shoes. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sira's family hasn't stopped their journey. They decided to go to the place they had planned. Here we see the young man, Sira's future husband, smiling widely, ready to welcome his beloved. Sira's mother didn't even want to tell him herself, so she asked an elder to deliver the message to the young man. The young man couldn't believe it. He froze right there, and here we see him looking completely shocked and confused. Now the young lady walks until she runs out of strength. Here we see her fall and roll from the top down to the ground. While she's down there, suddenly she hears the sound of a speeding car. She thinks, I mustn't get caught. She decides to brace herself and hide among the rocks. When the car passes, she thinks, let me check where it's going. Oh my God. You wouldn't believe it. She was not far from the terrorists' camp. She had to leave very quickly, and here, among these rocks, there was some kind of shelter. She went inside to be safe. When night fell, Sira had to sneak out to the camp to see if she could find some food. She sneaks around and finds leftovers from the elders' meal not long ago. She eats a little and saves some in a small container. Nearby, there's water, so she fills a container for later use. The next day, around 7 a.m., Sira hears the adhan. She has to go perform wudu. In the desert, water is scarce, so she performs wudu using sand. This is completely allowed in Islam. If there's no water and you need to pray, you can use sand. This is called tayammum. After completing wudu, she prays. This shows that she's a very religious girl. Despite all the challenges, she doesn't abandon her worship. But some people are just stressed with taxes and don't want to pray at all. Anyway, now Sira, as usual, sneaks back into the camp at night to look for leftovers. Suddenly, she hears someone coming, so she looks for a place to hide. While the man is checking his things, another man enters. Bro, you wouldn't believe it. It's Mustafa, the same man who was on the journey with Sira. And here he tells his colleague, "Have you heard we lost 5 young men?" After hearing the voice, Sira couldn't believe it. Aha! Turns out this man had his own mission on that journey, which is why he forced the chief to set up the camp where the attack happened. You really don't know what you're sitting on. Mustafa tells his leader, if you hadn't killed those young men, we might have sent more soldiers. After finishing their talk, they part ways, and Sira quietly sneaks away so she doesn't get caught. Early in the morning, we see a woman getting out of a car, bringing along 9 girls. Bro, these girls are mad beauties, and they're here just to be used for, well, you know. At that moment, Sira spots something, and this is when Mustafa sees her with his own eyes in broad daylight, because last night, he only heard a sound. Sidi decides to start his mission to find his future wife, Sira. He leaves his village and goes all the way to a place called Burikan, where it's said Sira might be. And this man here seems like her relative, so he's there just to help look for his future wife. Here we see him asking questions about the chief, like when he comes to visit. But the man tells him the chief only comes once a month. Here we see Sira preparing the little food she managed to find. She's skilled at making use of limited resources, cuts a little to taste, checking if it's enough. I feel like in his head he's thinking, if only we had some lime or lemon, this would be perfect. At night, Sira goes back to the camp to check if she can find anything to eat for the day. She sneaks into a car and grabs a bag. What's inside, we don't know. When she hears people coming, she decides to hide under the car. Meanwhile, the elders in the camp are praying. Suddenly, one of the female captives tries to run. Mustafa controls her properly. Now, when she's on the ground, her eyes meet Sira's. Bro, can she really tell it's her colleague? Sira decides it's better to leave quietly and escape. When Mustafa had controlled her, he had to hand her over to their leader. Here, the man asks the young lady, "Do you want to die? What's your name?" The girl replies, "Kemi." "How old are you?" The girl says, 17. The man tells her, "From now on, you'll be my worker. You'll cook and do other things. Okay, take off your clothes." Was shocked. What kind of work is this? Poor girl starts taking off her clothes one by one. But this man has a hard, serious face. What happens next? Well, they know themselves. Meanwhile, while Kemi is taking off her clothes, she sees the same girl she first met under the car, Sira. She follows her. Sira says, "Please help me with some food. I'll die otherwise." But the young lady tells her, "Right now it will be difficult. Maybe tomorrow." Sira replies, "Okay." And then they exchange names. Sira asks the girl, "What's your name?" The girl says, "Kemi." "And you?" "I'm Sira." Then spits. Here we see Kemi meeting a guard, who asks her, "Where were you, girl?" Kemi, very scared, replies, "I went to toilet." The guard hits her hard. This was so painful. "There is no one allowed to leave the group without permission. Do you hear, child? Back inside, now, hurry!" Meanwhile, early morning, we see Mustafa going to a car. He opens the car door and looks for his bag. His leader asks him, "What are you looking for, Mustafa?" Mustafa replies, "I left my bag under the seat. I'm not sure where it is now." Old man Karimu comes and tells the leader, "Also, some food has gone missing from the camp." Here, the leader senses something and says it's impossible that no one will take things. He tells Mustafa and his men to find that person quickly. Back with Sira, she looks worried after hearing the people approaching her hiding place. Mustafa tells his colleague, "I don't think the bag will be here. Maybe it's still in the camp. Let's go back." After hearing the conversation, Sira wants to check the bag to see what's inside. Here we see Sira opening the bag and taking out binoculars. Then she finds a torch and opens it. And on the other side of the bag, she takes out a black pouch, opens it, and she finds gold. She realizes now why they were looking for that bag so intensely. Then, as Mustafa had told Kemi, the food would be behind the tent. When night fell, Sira goes behind the tent, crouches down, and grabs the food bag. Suddenly, the camp guards start approaching where Sira is. We see Sira, scared, calling Kemi, "Help me!" Kemi pulls Sira inside quickly so the guards don't see her. After being pulled inside, we see Sira eating in a rush the bread Kemi had prepared. She looks extremely hungry. Meanwhile, other captives are watching her curiously. One of them says, "If they find out Sira is here, we'll all be killed." They start asking Sira where she came from. Sira replies she came from near the camp. They keep asking if she's the one who stole the bag. The girl tells Kemi, "We'll all be killed if they know Sira is here." Kemi insists to the others, "Just help her." One of them asks Sira if she's pregnant. Sira denies it. Another asks how long she's been near the camp without being noticed. Sira replies, "About 4 months." Then Sira begins asking where they come from. They answer, one is from Nigeria, 3 are from Congo, and the other from Mozambique. Sira asks Kemi to let her speak so she can blend in with them. Here we see Sira and her friends planning an escape. Sira asks if any of them know where Mustafa keeps the car keys. She insists they must follow the plan, but they all look very nervous about it. Here we see one girl crying, but here we see Sira being very firm, insisting that they must steal those keys so they can escape. The girl beside her tells Sira, "Mustafa and his people are very cruel." Another one adds, "Mustafa is the worst of them all. It doesn't stop at beating us, he even rapes us." So here we see Sira carefully studying Mustafa and his people. Mustafa is seen taking the keys off his neck and handing them to their group leader. So Sira and the 9 girls continue planning. Sira tells them the keys are with Yoro and Mustafa, and they always hang them around their necks. One of the girls says, "It will be very hard to take them if they keep them on their necks." Sira insists, saying they must try every possible way to get those keys. Another girl says, "Sira, maybe you should go, because they don't know you." Sira replies, "They know me. They'd catch me instantly." Then she turns to Kemi and asks, "What about you? Why are you quiet? Yoro likes you a lot, so you'll be able to go and take the keys from him." Here, Kemi looks very scared. Sira tells her, "It's better you do this, or do you want to be his slave forever?" Then Sira tells them that Yoro has left, so they must try with Mustafa. One girl asks, "If we succeed, how far is it from here to the nearest police station?" But Sira keeps insisting they must do this, otherwise they'll die there. They've prayed enough. This is their time to free themselves. The girl close to Sira tells her, "You must be careful, you're pregnant." But Sira denies being pregnant, even though this hurts her deeply, because as we saw at the very beginning of the movie, she became pregnant after being raped by Yoro. Here we see Kemi telling their supervisor that she wants to go to Mustafa because he called her. The supervisor tells her, "Yoro said you're not allowed to go to the men's tents." Kemi replies, "It's Mustafa who needs to talk to me." So the supervisor goes to Mustafa and asks if there's a girl who called him. Mustafa says, "I didn't call any girl. Is there someone who wants to see me?" The supervisor says yes. Mustafa replies, "Let her come in." We see Kemi entering the tent. Mustafa looks at her and asks, "What problem do you have with me?" Kemi starts slowly removing her clothes. Then Mustafa tells her, "Stop, I don't need what you're trying to give me." He tells her to put her clothes back on immediately. But Kemi continues undressing while Mustafa is putting on his clothes. Kemi tries to touch him. Mustafa pushes her away and says, "Don't touch me." At that exact moment, Kemi quickly grabs the keys. Mustafa warns her, "If you try that again, I'll beat you and kill you." Kemi tries to leave, but suddenly Mustafa says, "Hey, stop!" We see Kemi very nervous as Mustafa tells her to raise her hands. Mustafa seems to sense something is wrong. He looks around, then looks back at Kemi and tells her again to raise her hands. As soon as she raises them, the keys fall from her armpit onto the ground. Mustafa sees them and slaps Kemi hard. Kemi goes down. Mustafa realizes they're the keys and says, "Kemi, today I will kill you." Today, you've crossed the line. I'm finishing you. We see Mustafa grabbing his gun and dragging Kemi outside. He then orders, "Bring all the girls outside." Here we see Sira waking up suddenly while the men are moving towards the scene. We see old man Karimu asking Mustafa, "What has this girl done now?" Mustafa replies, "She tried to steal the car keys, this idiot." But on Sira's side, she had already left the camp very early. Now, with her binoculars from a distance, she sees everything happening at the camp. All the girls are brought to the scene. Here we see old man Karimu telling Mustafa, "Yoro will be very angry if you kill this girl, because he loves her. Let Yoro come and judge her himself." That day, Kemi should thank God, otherwise worse things would have happened. So Mustafa ties her to a tree with a rope. After several months had passed, we see Sira utterly exhausted and her pregnancy has grown very large. Yet, in her heart, she carries unbearable pain because the pregnancy came about in a way that was far from good. Here we see the elder, who is like a mentor to these bandits, walking through the Sahel desert. When he reaches a certain spot, he stops and takes out his binoculars to check for safety. But he manages to spot Sira. Yes, and she is very heavily pregnant. Sira steps out from the rock and enters the cave. The elder is utterly shocked. Meanwhile, Mustafa emerges. "How's it going, elder? Everything okay?" "Everything is fine," the elder reassures him. This elder is essentially Sira's protector, keeping the camp inhabitants completely unaware that someone secretly lives nearby. We don't know if he will report her or not, but he rises and leaves the place. On the other side, we see her fiancé, Sidi, watching Yoro closely after Yoro had returned to his village where his family is. Even bandits have families, apparently. At night, Sidi decides to go all the way to Yoro's house. Remember, this is the same Yoro who assaulted Sira, causing her pregnancy. When he arrives, we see Yoro asking Sidi what's wrong. Sidi tells him that he heard Yoro is recruiting young men. "Who told you?" Sidi replies that it was just the local village youths. Then Yoro asks, "Why are they recruiting?" Sidi says it's to protect Islam. "What is your name?" "I am Jean Sidi." "Are you a Christian?" Sidi admits he used to be, but he realized Christianity doesn't suit him, and he wants to join Islam now. Yoro asks what Sidi came to the village for. Sidi explains that 5 months ago, he came seeking work. Then Yoro instructs Sidi to find 4 other youths to join him before they come together to be given work. Sidi thanks him and leaves. The next morning, we see Sidi following Yoro's car on his motorbike. The guy really pushes the bike hard to keep up. When Yoro arrives at the camp, he is surprised to find the girl he loved so much tied to a tree, naked like an animal. Mustafa approaches her. Yoro has to ask, "What has happened to this girl?" The supervisor of the girls tells him she tried to steal the car keys. Yoro orders her brought inside. Here we see Kemi being led in. She starts looking for pepper and, being tough, applies it to Sira's wounds first. Imagine being in pain and having pepper rubbed on your cuts. Terrible. After a few hours, we see Mustafa entering Yoro's place. "While I was in the village, there was a young man following me. He wants to join us, but I suspect he's hiding something. His name is Sidi." "His name is Sidi?" Surprised, Mustafa confirms, saying he's the same fiancé of the girl who was kidnapped. Naturally, he will be looking for his bride. Yoro says he cannot fear a troublemaker like that and sends 2 youths to mislead him. Mustafa complains, knowing that the kidnapping will surely bring trouble, and tells Yoro that he need to kill that Sira's fiancé. But Yoro tells him, "Remember, I shot you, and everyone at that incident believes you dead, so that's impossible." Here we see Sidi pushes his motorbike hard, tracking tire marks from Yoro's car. Eventually, the motorbike runs out of fuel. He sees that the fuel can is empty and realizes he cannot continue without refilling. At night, Sira is lit by a torch. Suddenly, she is shocked. It's the elder from the bandit camp. After spotting her through the binoculars, he decides to follow her into the cave. He asks, "Who are you? Have I ever seen you at the camp before? You were kidnapped by Yoro, yes?" Sira nervously confirms it's her. She asks, "Have you come to kill me?" The elder replies, "You should have died long ago. If I had intended to, you would have been dead before even being seen. First, tell me what you are doing here, and why are you near the camp?" Sira explains she is here just to survive, because being here gives her a chance to find food and water. The elder warns her not to approach the camp. It's dangerous. After saying this, he leaves. At dawn, we see Sira scouting outside while staying inside the cave. When she finally steps out, she finds food scraps strategically placed. She eats a bit, then stores water in a container for later use. Days pass, and all of this continues in the Sahel Desert. We see Sidi exhausted, still looking for Sira, running out of drinking water, hunting birds for food. This is incredibly dangerous. Sidi continues his long search, reaching a village he never expected to find. An elder follows him, asking, "Who are you?" Sidi replies, "I am thirsty," and collapses. Meanwhile, Sira, heavily pregnant, is near her delivery time. She lies down in pain with no one to help her. She struggles to get up and move around. She finally spots Sidi smiling at her from afar, but she thinks it's an illusion. She calls out, "Sidi, is that you?" Pain intensifies, and she collapses. Sidi decides to leave, but her labor begins, and she rushes into the cave, taking a knife to assist herself. She struggles intensely. Due to age restrictions, we cannot show all the details, but Sira fights bravely and ultimately delivers safely with God's help. At night, the elder who always helps her comes in. Seeing she has delivered, he enters the cave. Sira explains everything. "I was traveling to get married. My fiancé was Sidi, the only man in my life, but I know I can't be with him now. God decided otherwise." The elder encourages her. "Do not lose hope," Sira replies. "I know he cannot love me anymore. Do you think he would accept a woman whose childhood was stolen?" Indeed, Sira had never been touched before, truly a test of her strength. The elder reassures her, "Do not despair. He may understand your situation. Trust God." As I said earlier, the elder is a military expert. We see him training the youths. Mustafa follows, observing. At night, the elder goes to Sira again, shining the torch 2 to 3 times. "Wake up! Wake up! It's time now. Do you know how to use a gun?" Sira takes it, inspects it. "Do you know how to aim and fire?" the elder asks. Sira remains silent. He shows her, giving her a 2-minute crash course. Sira understands perfectly. Now, Sira is given her mission. At 5:30 a.m., she is to place explosives in specific locations. The elder warns, "Do not touch these areas. There are gas tanks. If you detonate them, everyone will die. Remember, the camp has girls, and a few soldiers will go to set up another camp in the east." Sira asks about the enemies. "What about Yoro and Mustafa?" The elder replies, "No, they will stay in the camp. There is another attack they must experience." Sira asks where the elder will be. "I will leave at 11 a.m. to the mountains. Do not detonate until I signal you," he warns. "Be careful." At exactly 11:30 p.m., at the same time she had been instructed, Sira secretly entered the camp. She placed the bombs in the locations she had been told, then carefully made her way to where the captured women were being held. When she arrived, they stared at her in shock and said, "Hey, we thought you were dead." Sira handed them a piece of paper and told them there was no time to waste. As she was about to leave, Kemi told her, "Your lover is looking for you, and Yoro has sent someone to kill him." This news caused Sira deep pain. When morning came, she woke up, washed her face, lit a cigarette, then picked up her equipment and set it up for the mission. But at that moment, she was extremely angry. After that, she picked up an object with wires all over it. It looked like a bomb, and placed it inside a box where her child was lying. We don't yet know what her true intention is, but we will understand later. She then prayed, asking God to help her succeed in the mission she was about to carry out. Here we see Sira struggling with a very heavy box while also carrying a firearm. She lowers the box and her weapon, then takes out a pair of binoculars. Through them, we see a group preparing to head to the place where the elder Karimu had told her that some soldiers would be going to set up another camp. After the soldiers in robes leave, we see Sira moving with extreme caution, still carrying the same box with her child inside. She places the box on the ground, then returns to her position and begins cocking her weapon. Now the question is, what is Sira's real objective? There is a child and a bomb inside that box. Does that mean she wants to kill both herself and the child? But the child really resembles her father, who who was clearly unstable. After carefully assessing the situation, Sira says no. She goes straight to the box and picks up her baby. Honestly, if she had killed the child, I would have been extremely shocked. We probably wouldn't even finish this movie. As the group is heading east through the desert to establish another camp, suddenly the front vehicle gets a flat tire. They decide to stop and get out to inspect it. But before they can do anything, an armed force appears and surrounds them. Everyone raises their hands and surrenders. Now let's return to the camp. We see Mustafa coming out of a tent, but suddenly he senses danger and immediately goes back inside to grab his weapon. After taking the weapon, he starts checking the camp's security. When he reaches the female guard who is responsible for protecting the girls, he finds her stabbed in the neck, clearly dead. At that moment, he realizes the camp is no longer safe. When he reaches the area where the girls were kept, they are all gone. He runs back to his companions, shouting, "Wake up! The brides are gone!" As soon as Yoro hears this, he jumps up. Mustafa runs to inform Yoro, while at the same time, Sira is lining up another target. Meanwhile, her baby is crying loudly. When Mustafa reaches Yoro, he says, "The girls escaped, but they can't be far. I'll take a few men and go after them." Yoro looks down and notices a box with a note on it. Written on it are the words, "Je suis vivant." This is French, and it means, "I am alive." Yoro is shocked. The baby continues crying loudly, and both Mustafa and Yoro hear the sound. Mustafa decides not to waste time and runs off, while Yoro goes inside to grab his weapon. The moment Yoro steps back outside and stands near the box, he freezes, as if he's been cursed. Suddenly, Sira opens fire, triggering a massive explosion. Chaos erupts. We see pieces of uniforms flying through the air. Many people die. The entire camp is destroyed, while Sira calmly comforts her child. The scene is horrifying. Faces are unrecognizable. As Mustafa is running for his life, there is one man from the camp whom Mustafa has always deeply hated, locks onto the target, and kills him instantly. Yoro, a hardened criminal, is still alive and trying desperately to find a safe angle to position himself because many hawks are searching for him. But you won't believe it. He doesn't get far. Wild birds attack him, swarming and tearing at him. Now on the other side, the women who escaped are walking toward the location Sira directed them to. Along the way, they see a large convoy of vehicles and panic, thinking these soldiers might be part of the group that kidnapped them. But to their surprise, the leader of the convoy is Elder Karimu himself, the same man who helped Sira back in the caves. This is shocking! Truly, you should never trust someone you don't know well. The elder orders that the girls be taken somewhere safe, and they comply. The girls' vehicle drives off into the desert, while the rest of the convoy continues its journey. Here we see Sira finishing her mission. She comes down from the hill and enters the destroyed camp. She checks Mustafa to confirm he is dead, then takes the car keys to escape. As she opens the car door and is about to get inside, she hears someone shouting. She quickly steps out and sees a bearded man approaching. She fires the first shot and misses. The man ducks low. As the man gets closer, Sira realizes this is not Sidi. This is the man she was once expected to marry. Sira collapses to the ground in tears. The man embraces her and takes the child from her. In Sira's mind, she believed Sidi would never accept her again. But she is shocked to see that this man still loves her deeply. She can't believe it at all. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to become part of the Mentalix Recaps family. My name is Kenzo. See you next time.